We'll wait for 1 more minute before getting started. So let me start the sessions in between. Topics, just a second. I'll give you the software links first, then we can discuss about the topics. I prepared somewhere. Where is the topics? This one. This one. See, I'll share you the software links from where you can download the VMware. Okay, I'll give you the path. Okay, just let me give you your email IDs. I should be having your ID somewhere. Okay. I have sent you the material, right? I mean, do one thing. I think I should be having your IDs. What is ID? Rajesh or something, right? Okay, this is like this one. See, you will get a link basically. Okay. So you should be able to get a link now basically. So go to the link and don't try to download right now itself. I mean, maybe download after some amount of time, because if all the people try to download at the same time, that will become your download will be very, very slow. Okay. So take some time, maybe after 2 to 3 hours, try to download the software which is present there. Okay. So once you download the software, I'll tell you what are the next steps. Okay. Okay. So Shishir, for your questions today, we'll see like a few properties about the instance, like what are the configuration parameters at instance and what are the configuration parameters at database. And we'll see more about what you say, like the basics of table spaces, like how to create table space and all those things. Okay, so those things I'll cover today. Okay. So you were missing before, Rajesh. Okay, I'll add you also. Just a second. So let's get started. Give me 1 more minute. I'll send the software link to Rajesh also, and we can get started. So just try to download the software. You'll get a link from where you can download it. It's a very big file basically. Okay. So just it will take some time basically. Just download it. Okay. And Apart from that, you also need to download one more software. I think I'll give you the link for that also. I have the link, but I missed it somehow. See, look at this page. I'll send you this link. So keep these softwares down. Try to download these softwares. I'll tell you how to open it and other things. Okay. So go to the link and look at the my screen basically. So try to download only VMware 10.0.0. So it has a lot of other things also. So don't go with anything. So go with 10.0.0 and click on the link which I just sent you. And here you have an option of download now. Just download it basically. Okay. So those are the two things which you need to do. Okay. Or if you're somewhere near to Amirpet, I mean, see the problem with this is a what is it? You won't get a key with this. Okay. So if you want a key, I'll give you the key. I'll speak with Amirpet people and I'll get you the key. Okay. Or if you're somewhere near to the Visualpath Institute or something, you can take the pen drives there and ask them to copy VMware Workstation 10 with key basically. They will help you to with the software basically. Okay. So which one is good for you? Just do it. But the things which you have to do before the next class is, first thing is download VMware Workstation, the link which I just shared with you, and remember you should download 10.0 version. Is it clear for all the people what to do? Download this software basically. You just don't go to this link and click download, so it will download it basically. Okay. Or if you're near to Visualpath, Amirpet or somewhere, take your pen drives and ask them to give VMware Workstation 10.0 with key. Okay. Try to apply the key. If you don't apply the key, the software will still run, but it will expire after 30 days. So you need to uninstall and reinstall. That's a big pain basically. Okay. So try to do this. This is the first step which you have to do. The second step which you have to do is to and the second step which you can do is to download the VMware image of DB2. So this I already shared link with all the people. Okay, so you'll be getting some link from link to this one. Just you need to just download it basically. So if you download it, after doing the download, you need to just uncompress it. Okay, so if you uncompress it, basically you will be able to see this file something like this. I'll show you what you will see basically. So you'll see something file like this once you uncompress it. The uncompress will also take a lot of time because this I compress it 12 GB or something. Okay. So once you uncompress it and once you install the VMware, so you need to do two things basically. Install this software, download this software and install it. So once you install this, you will see VMware workstation icon, and download this file and uncompress it. So once you uncompress it, you'll see a folder like this basically. So once you go inside that folder, you'll see a lot of files which are present there. Okay, just look at the type of the files. Just look at the type of the files for all the files. Or if you're stuck somewhere, let me know. I'll help you in the next class. Okay, how to drag this one. Okay, it won't come. Oh, crap. Okay. So look at the type of all the files. For one of the file, the type will be VMware virtual machine configuration. So only one file will be having with the name virtual machine configuration. So look for the file which is having configuration. and right click on the file, and you'll get this option, open with VMware basically. You'll see this option only once you install VMware Workstation. So that's why I'm trying to stress here is first try to download the VMware Workstation and install it. And installation is very simple. You will get a setup file, run the setup file, VMware Workstation will be installed. Then you need to download the second. You'll be getting an email from the Google Drive with the link. Basically, just click the link. It will ask you, just try to say download the file. Once you download the file, you will get something like this file. Basically, it's a compressor file. Uncompress it. So once you uncompress it, if you go inside, you'll see a lot of files. I'm telling you to look at the type. The type, you'll see one file type as VMware virtual machine configuration as this kind of thing basically. So, or if you can remember the icons, it has some 3 small boxes kind of thing. You can go with the icon or you can go with the type basically. It's up to your choice. The file will be very less, 3 KB. The reason is all the files will be of same name almost. So you'll get confused with if you remember the names. So just look at the type or look at this icon basically. Okay. Right click on the file and say open with VMware Workstation or with VMware Player. So once you start it, your Linux will start in the same way as it happened here. So once the Linux is started, you can log on to the Linux server as root as the user ID. This I already told you, Red Hat is the password. So I'm just writing everything here. So once you do both the things, log into Linux box with username as root with password as Red Hat. So try to remember these things. Okay. So once you log on to the box, you can start DB2 basically. How to start DB2? Just right click and open terminal. Okay. So you need to run one more command which is called db2-db2 SAPT. So which will switch to a user which is a SAPT. Then you need to run a command called db2 start which will start the instance. Okay. I'll write it here and document everything here. I'll send you in the chat also. Okay. Then once you log on with root, open terminal, su-db2 SAPT, then do db2 start. So these are the commands which you need to run basically for working with DB2. Okay, I'll send this through mail also. So just okay, I'll just send it right now. I'll forget it after some time. Okay. So go through this and try to follow the steps. If you're stuck somewhere, just put me an email. Okay, don't wait until the next class. Okay, just put me email with whatever the issue which you're having. I keep on replying immediately. Okay. So I'll reply to all the people. Who does not have reply to? Okay, it says PCC, right? Okay. Right, copy paste here. I'll copy paste the same thing. So you might be getting an email by now. Okay, just look at the email and do all the steps. Okay. So I'm trying to repeat for the last time. Okay. So try to do in the same way, the same step. Okay. This will take some time. So try to do it very cautiously. Okay. Don't get confused or something. Okay. The first step which you need to do is download the VMware Workstation 10.1. I have given you the link. So go to the link and simply download it. That's the simplest thing. It will take some time. So let it download. Once the download is done, so try to install the software. So which will help you to VMware Workstation will be installed on your PC. So this is the first step which you need to do, which is simple. Okay. The second step is I have given you another link which is of Google Drive. So just open the link and download the software. So this is a big file. The file will be something around maybe 6 GB or something. It will take some time, so leave it. Once the download is done, so try to uncompress it, the file. Just right click and say uncompress it. So once the uncompress is done, you'll see a folder like this, as I told you before also. So go inside the folder, look for the type. Just look at for the type, and which is of VMware virtual machine configuration, or you can see with 3 boxes basically. Just right click it here and open with VMware workstation. Okay. So once you open it, it will start basically. It will take some time to start the server. Just leave it for 5 minutes. Once the server is started, basically, you can log into the server. So what are the credentials to log on to the server? The credentials is the username is root and the password is Red Hat basically. So once you log on to the server, you will see something screen like this basically. Okay. You can see the screen like this. Just right click and say open terminal. So once you open the terminal, then switch to this user ID. This is an instance which I created, and you need to do DB2 start basically. It's as simple as that. Any questions? How to start the server and how to download the software? Any questions? So let me know if you have any questions right away so that I can help you immediately. Any questions from anyone? Clear? Yes, no, maybe. Hello? Clear? Hello? You can put on the chart yes, no, or something. Nothing,
Yes,
no, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. See, the next thing is, once you have the software downloaded, see, if you're facing any issue, just do the simple thing what I'm doing. I think in Windows, see, let's say my DB2 is not starting or I'm getting some error. Say, let's say I'm running some command, I'm getting some error basically. Okay. So instead of you sending a mail, the simplest way in which you can send, there's a tool called snipping tool. Okay. So this is a very important tool, SNIPP. So try to open this tool in your boxes. Just click it. Okay. The tool will open. You just need to highlight the thing which is getting error. So just highlight in the way in which I'm doing. So just save this with some file and send me the mail through attachment basically. Okay. So if you send in such a fashion, then I can easily find it out what is the command which you're running and what is the error which you're getting. So this makes the things easy for me to look, and I can help you immediately basically. Okay. So do in such a fashion. If you're stuck somewhere, open the snipping tool. Just drag it, what error you're getting, you will get it in the file. Just save the file and send me as an attachment. Just try to mention what error you were getting so that I can help you immediately basically. Okay. Clear? Okay. So try to do the same thing. Okay. I'll be reachable in emails. So if you're stuck somewhere, just drop email. I think most of the people might be having my email ID because you'll be getting a lot of mails from me basically. Okay. So we'll get started for the today's class. In the last class, basically what we are seeing, I just told you a few important things about how to install DB2 on Linux. I'll just recap it very quickly so that you people know how to do it. Okay. So once you have the server ready and machine ready, see the next class will be on your Monday. So in between this Saturday and Sunday, you have a lot of time. So try to download the software and keep everything ready by Monday basically. Okay. So if you have any issues, don't wait till Monday. Just drop me a mail if you're stuck somewhere. Okay, I can reply back immediately so that you will be ready by Monday basically. Okay. So in the last class, what we have seen like how to install DB2 on Linux. Okay, I told you a bit of things like how to run the shell script in Linuxes. Basically, you can run it as sh followed by the file name or / thing. Okay, I'll just quickly show you what we have seen in the last class basically. So I copied the software to some locations here. I'll just go there quickly. DB2 software something. Okay. Just give me 1 second. So these are the files which I have shown you yesterday basically. I told you about each and every file. I mean, we missed a few of the things which we'll cover in upgradation and migration. This will cover in future, this will cover in future, so don't worry about those things. We have seen like what is DB2 LS. I'll recap it quickly. So this will tell you how many copies of DB2 are there. We have seen like what is DB2 prereq check. This will tell you whether my software prerequisites are met, which are hardware and software prerequisites basically. And I can install DB2 in 2 different ways. One is graphical way and another is silent mode or interactive mode. If you want to install it in a graphical way, you need to run a script which is called /this. If you want to run it in a interactive way or in silent mode, you need to run the script. I told you in Linux, the way to run the scripts is /filename. So if I want to do this, this is the command which I have seen yesterday. So if you want to install it, it will ask you the default path. I told you by default DB2 installs in this, DB2 gets installed on the Linux box in this path basically. Okay. So if you want to change it, change it. Or if you don't want to change it, don't change it. Okay. You can answer anything. The next thing which will ask you is which product you want to install, which we have seen yesterday. Mostly you will be installing ESC software, which we have discussed yesterday. Okay. So once you type ESC there, your DB2 installation will start. It will take some time basically, so let it take, and once your installations will be completed basically. Okay. After this, we have discussed something about, so DB2 installation is done in two phases. First, install the binaries. Install the DB2 binaries, which we have seen yesterday by running command called .db2 install. So if you run this script, your DB2 binaries will be installed to this location, opt ibm db2/v9.7. This is the first step which we have seen. The second step which you need to do is to create instance. Okay. So before creation of instance, we have discussed what is an instance. As I told you yesterday, instance is nothing but it's a user basically. Okay. So if you want to create an instance, you should remember that you should have a user for that. So one user will be corresponding to the one instance. Okay. So at any time in your company, if you get a request to create an instance, first thing which you should do is to create a user first, set a password for the user. So once the user is created, I'll write the steps which we have discussed yesterday. You can just see the things. Okay. So first step which you have to do is to create a user. Create a user at operating system level basically. You know how to create a user. So once the user is created, the second step is to run a script which is called DB2 ICRT. We have seen like what DB2 ICRT is instance creation. Okay. -u. You need to specify the user 2 times basically. I'll tell you reason why you have to specify. Okay. So once you do both the steps, which means that your instance will be created. Okay. So the question is, can I create multiple instances? Yes, you can create multiple instances, which means that you have to create multiple users on a server. Okay. So can I start my instance? Yes. What is the command to start the instance? The command to start the instance is db2 start. I told you instance has different names. So some people they call it as DBM, some people they call it as database manager. Okay, so it has different aliases names. So if someone says you what is the database manager, it is nothing but it is equivalent to my instance basically. Okay, and how to start my instance? The command to start instance is db2 start. So what will happen to the backend? At the backend, the process of db2 starts and the memory will be allocated. Okay, so can I stop my instance? Yes, the command to stop it is db2 stop. What will happen in the backend? Your processes will come down and your memory will be deallocated once you stop the instance basically. Okay, so these are the things which we have covered yesterday. I just want to recap it because as it's important. Okay, so any questions or we can move forward basically. Clear to this point? Okay, so we'll move forward with the next things basically. Okay, okay, let me check it up. I should be having some material somewhere. Okay, so we'll see the next thing basically. See, let's say, this is important, so try to listen this carefully. Let's say I have a server, I have a DB2 server. Okay, the lines won't be straight. Okay, I'm drawing with mouse, so don't. Let's say this is my DB2 server. So let's say this is my DB2 server, which is new basically. Okay. So the question is, can I create an instance on this server? Yes, you can create an instance. As I told you, for creation of instance, you need to first create a user. So let's assume that here I'm creating a user. Okay. So what is the name of my user? Let's say I have created a user with name DB2 SAPT. Okay. Now, if I create a user with DB2 name SAPT, the user will be having what to say, the home directory. Like, what will be the home directory of a user? We have seen in Linux. Okay, so let's say the home directory of this user is /home/ DB2 SAPT, which we have covered yesterday. Home directory for any users will be in /home/thing basically. Okay, so which means that on my Linux server I have installed DB2. So what will be the path of my installation in Linux? We have seen this also. My installation path will be /opt ibm/db2/v.9.7. So this is the path, and I'm trying to create an instance. So this is my user ID which I created. The username is this. This is the home directory of the user basically. Okay, and I have run a script which is called DB2 ICRT, which we have discussed yesterday. So if you run this script, your instance will be created basically. So this is the setup. The next question is, can I create one more instance? Yes. So this question is, can my server have multiple instances? Yes, your server can have multiple instances. So how to create the second instance? It's the same procedure how you created the first instance basically. Okay. So if I want to create another instance with name DB2 ERPT, so what I have to do? Same thing. Create a user with the second thing. Okay, let me create a user. Let's assume that this is a user. So let's call this user with a different name, DB2 ERPT. So I'm using the SAP keywords, so it's just for your understanding. So there is no special significance of using it. Okay. So this is also a user. So if I create a user on Linux box, so what is the home directory? You should be knowing the home directory. The home directory for this user is /home/db2 ERPT. Okay. After this, for completion of instance, this step is done, which I created user. The second thing which I'm doing is I'm running DB2 ICRT-u. My username is DB2 ERPT. So if you run this script also, your instance is created basically. So you can see in this whole diagram, I have a single DB2 Linux server in which I have two instances, which means that instance is nothing but user, which means that you have two users. Okay, one instance name or one username is DB2 SAPT, and another instance name or username is DB2 ERPT. So simple question, can my server have multiple instances? Yes. The answer is yes, your server can have multiple instances basically. Okay. Okay. So let's say in this match, like how many people are there? Like there are somewhere near to, excluding me and other guy. So there are 6 people who are living. Okay. Let's say Kiran, Rajesh, and Rajesh L and Rajesh P. They want to work with DB2 SAPT. They are working in a different project, so they have to interact with the DB2 SAPT. And the rest of the people, Shishir, Sham, and Shiva, their project is a different project which they want to work with the DB2 ERPT. Okay, so the question is, can different teams can have different projects and work with different instances? Yes, they can do it basically. Okay, so the first 3 will be trying to work with this instance, or they try to log on to this user ID and work with the here. The later 3 people, they have a working on a different project and they will be interacting with this instance basically. Okay, so can I have a server with multiple instances in which different multiple project people will be working? Yes, you can do that basically. Okay, so next thing, let's say I have access to DB2 SAPT. So can I log on to DB2 SAPT? Yes, you can log on to the DB2 SAPT. Okay. So after logging to the DB2 SAPT here, so this is an instance. Can I start this instance? Yes, you can start this instance. What is the command to start DB2 SAPT? You need to simply run a command called DB2 start command. So if you start this instance, the process will start and the memory will be created here. Okay. So after that, can I create a database here? Yes, you can create a database here. So let's say I'm creating a database by name D1. So you can create it here. So in this instance, can I create another database? Yes, you can create another database by name D2. So can I create one more database? Yes, you can create another database. So if you understand this clearly, if you want to create a database, you should log on to some instance. How to log on to the instance? It's the same way how do you log on to the user basically. Log on to this, create database, create DB D1. A database will be created by name D1. If you want to create one more database, create DB D2. So another database will be created. If you want to create one more database, create DB D3. So another database will be created. Okay. So the simple point which I want to tell you here is, server can have multiple instances, which we have discussed before also. Remember, each instance can have multiple databases. So here you can see my instance name is DB2 SAPT and it has 3 different databases. So the point here is important point which I want to make here is an instance can have multiple databases. Okay, so you can see here my SAPT instance has 3 different databases. On the same way, let's say other three people they are working in ERPT. Can they create a database here? Yes. Let's say they have created D4, and let's say after some time they have created a database by name D5. So now you can look at the diagram at a very high level. You can say that a DB2 SAPT server has 3 databases and DB2 ERPT has 2 databases. Okay. So important things I'll just make a note of here. You can also make a note of it here. Draw this diagram, and I'll use this diagram continuously throughout the course so that you can also take it as a reference. So make a note of it quickly. Okay, we will move forward after this. Just draw this diagram. Try to understand this very clearly because this is how the DB2 architecture is designed. Okay, make a note of it quickly. I'll give you 1 minute. Clear? Okay. So let's see this practical. Let's say there is any limit for the databases in one instance. See, there is there is a limit for the maximum number of databases which you can create, and it depends upon the RAM size. We'll see those things, Kiran. I mean, it depends upon your RAM size. Say if you have a RAM size of 4 GB, you cannot create 100 instances because each instance needs some memory, each database needs some memory. Okay, so the restriction depends upon the amount of memory which you are having. Okay, we'll see those things. The next topics are about the configuration things. Okay, I'll tell you in configurations how much, because if you think logically, if my server is having 4 GB of RAM, if I create 100 databases, then each database should occupy some memory. Okay, that does not be a good scenario, or from performance point of view that won't be a good scenario basically. Okay, typically in companies for critical servers like production servers, what they do, they create on a single Linux box, they create only one instance, only one database. Okay, but DB2 has a provision of creating multiple instances. DB2 has a provision of creating multiple databases. So this is we can do, but in real time, for critical servers, one server will be having one instance, only one database. That's all. Okay. Any questions? Someone unmuted or something? Got it, Kiran? Okay, see, I'll show the things practically now. So we have seen this diagrammatically everything. Okay, I have a Linux server here. I showed you yesterday also. Okay, on this Linux server, can I create a new instance? Yes. Can I create multiple databases? Yes. Okay, let's say in the same, this is my server. Let's say this is, assume that this is my server. So can I create another instance here? Okay, let's say my instance name is DB2 CP10 or something. DB2 CP10 or something basically. Yes. Can I create another instance? Yes. How to create an instance? I told you create a user, then DB2 ICRT. So if you run those things, this instance will be created. Can I log on to this instance? Yes, you can log on to this instance. Can I create a database? Yes. How to create a database? Create DB name, which we have seen yesterday. Can I create one more database? Yes, you can do those things. Okay. So you can create instances, you can create databases with the same fashion. Okay, which we'll do now basically. Okay. So let me log on to the server. Okay, I log on to the server. I want to create an instance. So first I should create a user, DB2 CP10. This is my user ID which I'm creating. I want to set a password for this CP10. So I have set a password for this. The second thing which I need to do is to basically I need to run a script which is called DB2 ICRT. So how to run the script? I told you yesterday DB2 ICRT -u. What is my username? CP10. My username is CP10. Okay. Okay. All right. I need to run it as it's a shell script, so you need to use /CP10. This we have covered yesterday also. Okay. So if you run this script, it will indirectly try to change your user to an instance at database level. Okay. So you can see that my instance is getting created. Once my instance, if this command is successful, I can log on to the instance. I can create databases. I can play with the databases. I can do whatever you want to do. Basically. Okay. Let's wait for 1 minute until this command is successful. Okay. So you can see the program completed successfully, which means that my instance is getting completed. It will take another few seconds to complete. Okay, you can see that my instance is completed. Okay. So can I log on to my instance? So if you want to log on to your instance, you should know the password because this is a user. Okay, I know the password. So I'm trying to log in here. So in companies, remember, they will give you the username password of the instances. So if you join any company or any project, they will give you the instances and passwords. Okay. So this is the newly created instance. So can I start the instance? Yes. What is the command to start the instance? DB to start. So what DB to start is going to do, it will start the process for this instance. It is going to allocate the memory for this instance. Can I create a database? Yes. Basically, any database name which you want to create. Okay. So my database is getting created basically. Okay. So these are the steps which we can do in companies as a part of database administration basically, and this is how the setup will be. Okay. To create daily in the someone at the beginning of the project or during the initial day of the project, someone might be created instance. Daily you will be given a username and password. You just log on to the server and you will be either doing the starting of the instance or stopping of the instance, or you will be connecting to the database. You will be running the commands basically. Okay. Clear at this point? What is instance? How to create instance? How to connect to the instance? How to create a database? So this takes some time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. But this is how the company you can install DB2. You can create instance. You can start the instance basically. Okay. Any questions before we move forward? Clear for the people? Okay. Okay. So we'll move further. Okay. How to remove this one? So we'll keep it. I'll save this file also so that you can use it for throughout the course. Just give me 1 more minute. Okay, so the next thing is I want to discuss with you is, okay, let's say someone was asking me, okay, let's say this server is having 16 GB of memory. Okay, this server is having 16 GB of memory, and let's say my company is working in two different projects. One project is connecting to this instance, another project is connecting to this instance. Basically, okay. Okay, I'll close it and open it again. Where is the file? Oh crap, man! It got small. Okay, that's fine, but still. Okay, I think I didn't open it. Notepad. Paint. I should open it. Okay. So let's say the requirement is this: my server is having a RAM of 16 GB. Okay, and in my company they are running two different projects. One is trying to access D2 database or any database in this instance. Another project people are working with D4 and D5. Okay, so but my requirement is, my company's requirement is, out of these two instances, this is very important for me. So which one is important for me? I'll write some notes here so that you can understand what is important. Okay, so in my company, basically DB2 ERPT instance is critical for me. You should know what is critical means. It should be up and running and should be very fast. And D5 database is very critical for me. So this is my requirement in my company. So try to understand this. I have a server. My server has two instances. Out of two instances, one instance which is DB2 ERPT is very critical. When I say critical, I expect all my queries on these databases to be running very fast. And out of two databases which are present in ERPT, D4 and D5, D5 is very critical for me. So the question is, as my system is having 16 GB of RAM, I can allocate some memory to this instance. I can allocate some memory to this instance. Okay. Before that, I want to okay. Let's say the performance of the databases and the performance of the instances mainly depends upon how much resources you allocate to it. Okay, so if you have a database and if you give the database, let's say my database size is 1 terabytes, and if you give only 1 GB of memory to it, and you cannot expect a huge performance out of it, basically. Okay, the more the resource which you give to the databases, the more the performance will be. If you try to allocate more amount of memory, if you try to give more amount of processing speed to the operations, then your queries will run fast, then your applications will run fast, basically. Okay, so if you give very less amount of memory and if you are expecting a very huge performance out of it, you cannot. It's not something like which is ideal in the real time, basically. Okay, so for better performance, you should allocate more amount of memory to the databases or instance, basically. Okay, so as I told you, this is my requirement. Out of these two instances, as I told you, this is critical for me and D5 is critical for me. Okay, so out of 16 GB which I have, my system is having, my DB2 can use still 15 GB because 1 GB has to be reserved for booting up the operating system and other things. Okay, out of this 15 GB, how much memory should I give to this instance and how much memory should I give to this instance? Okay, as I told, this is critical for me. I'll give more amount of resources to this instance. So let's say I am giving 10 GB to this, basically. So out of 15 GB which is available on my resource, I want to give 10 GB to this instance. And what is the remaining thing? The remaining thing is 5 GB. So can I give the remaining 5 GB to this instance? Yes, you can give 5 GB to this instance, basically. Okay, but where should I specify how much memory should be given to instance? Do we have a place where I can specify, okay, this instance should take 5 GB, the other instance should take 10 GB, another instance should take 2 GB? Yes, we have a place which we call it as a configuration parameters, basically. Okay. So a lot of people ask a question like, say, why should I create multiple instances? This same setup I can do. I can create a single instance and I can put all the 5 databases in the same instance. Why I have to create 2 instances or why I have to create 5 instances or 10 instances? Okay. The reason why people go with multiple instances is for performance benefit. And they want to allocate the memory to the instance or to the database which is critical. So if you allocate the more amount of resources, you expect a more amount of performance. If you don't allocate much amount of performance, then the performance won't be huge. Okay, so in this ideal example, as this is critical and this database is critical, I am allocating 10 GB to this instance and 5 GB to this instance. Okay, so out of 10 GB, can I give more amount of memory to this? So I want to give 8 GB to this database. So how much is remaining for this? This is having only 2 GB basically. So can I say D5 to occupy 8 GB of memory? Yes, you can see that. Can I say D4 to only occupy 2 GB? Yes. But where should I specify saying that okay D5 should occupy 8 GB and where D4 should occupy 2 GB? So there is a place which we call it as a configuration parameters. Okay. So what are configuration parameters? The name itself says basically the parameters which you can configure. Okay. So this is there not only DB2 in Oracle SQL, there are a lot of things. We have something which we call it as configuration parameters. Okay. So remember in DB2 as we are learning DB2, so we have something which is called configuration parameters. So what are configuration parameters? As the name says, they are the parameters which you can configure or which you can change basically. Okay. At what level they exist? They exist at instance level and they exist at database level. So which means that there are parameters at instance level which you can change it, increase it, decrease it, do whatever you want to do. There are parameters at database level which you can increase it, decrease it, or do whatever you want to do basically. Okay. So make a note of it, or you can draw this diagram saying this is my memory requirement and I want to allocate 10 GB to this ERPT and 8 GB to this. So how can I do this? Just draw this diagram with additional things. I'll tell you like what are configuration parameters, how to look at them and how to increase the values and how to decrease the values. Okay. Just make a note of it quickly. Okay, so if you're done with this, you can also make a note of this. So configuration parameters exist at two levels. One is at instance level, another is at database level. So just make it note of it. Configuration parameters means parameters which we can configure or we can change or we can increase the values or we can decrease the values basically. Okay. So if you want to fine tune a database or if you want to fine tune a instance, we have to modify the configuration parameters. Okay. So the question is how many parameters are there? Can I see the list of parameters? Yes, you can see the list of parameters. Can I increase the values of the parameters? Yes, you can increase the value of parameters. Can you decrease? Yes, you can do all the things basically. Okay. So how do you look at the parameters at instance level? We have a command for that. So make a note of the command. The command is get dbmcfg. So this is a command through which you can look at the instance level parameters. On the same lines, if you want to look at the configuration parameters at database level, so this is a command. So make a quick note of the commands. This is very important from performance point of view. So try to understand this. So as I told you yesterday, DBM stands for database manager, which is nothing but instance. So how do I look at the instance level parameter? The command is get dbm cfg. It will show you a list of long list of parameters list, which I'll show you. Okay. How to look at the configuration parameters at database level? The command is get db cfg for the database name which you want to look into it. Okay. I'll show you the list of the parameters. It will be a very big list. Okay. Don't look at the size of the list. We will see each and every parameter during the course basically. Okay. So let's run it. So first let's see the configuration parameters at instance level. The command is get dbm cfg. So you can log on to any instance basically. Okay. So let me log on to my instance which is DB2 SAPT. I log on to this instance. So let me run the command. So command is get dbm cfg. So this will show me the configuration parameters at instance level. Okay. So I'm running the command. You can see a long list of the variables which you're seeing basically. Okay. So remember, this is something which we call it as parameter name, and this is something which we call it a value. Okay. You can see that for each and every thing, this is a parameter and this is a value. Okay. Come down, if you can see that this is a parameter name and this is the value. Okay. So I'll try to explain you each and everything, so don't worry about it. But if you want to see the list of parameters at instance level, so this is the command get dbm cfg. It will show in such fashion. This is called parameter name and this is the value for the parameter. We'll see for each and every parameter in the next classes basically. Okay. You can see this is one simple example of example. So it says instance memory, which means that how much amount of memory has been allocated to instance, and you can see the value here basically. So if you want to check how much amount of memory was allocated for my instance, you need to look at this parameter. Can I increase the value? Yes, you need to change this value to higher value. Or can you decrease the value? Yes. The same example which I have given here. If you look at this diagram, I told you, okay, just a second. Here I told you, I want to allocate 5 GB to this instance. So where should I specify that this instance should take 5 GB? So this is a parameter where you have to specify the name of the parameter instance memory. This will tell you like how much memory should be given to my instance. If I say here, you should give equivalent value of 5 GB. If you give an equivalent value of 5 GB, then your instance will take 5 GB. If you give an equivalent value of 20 GB, your instance will take 20 GB. If you give an equivalent value of 15 GB, your instance will take 15 GB. Okay. So this is a parameter name. I'll give you the commands how to change it basically. Okay. On the same lines, if you want to look at the configuration parameters at database level, which is the second thing which we are seeing. So what is the command to see the configuration parameters at database level? The command is get db cfg for db name. Okay. So if you want to run it, get db cfg for database name. I have a sample database here, so I'm writing the db name as sample. Okay. So if you run this, here also you can see a lot of parameters. I will see each and every parameter during the course. Okay. I just want to see the important ones. So you can see there is one more parameter which is called database memory. This parameter will tell you like how much memory can be allocated to the database. So as I told you in this example, I want to give 8 GB to this database with D5. So can I give it? Yes. To which parameter I need to set? You need to set to a parameter which is database underscore memory. You should give an equivalent value of 8 GB. 8 GB basically. In my example, I want to give 8 GB. Okay. On the same lines, if I want to give 2 GB to D4. So look at the configuration parameter which is database memory. Give the equivalent value for 2 GB. So when this database is starting, it will all allocate 2 GB. When this database is getting started, it will allocate 8 GB of it basically. Okay. So these are the commands, these are the parameter names, and these are the values. Any questions on this? What is configuration parameters and how to look at the configuration parameters kind of thing? Any questions before we move to the next things? Clear? What is configuration parameters? How to look at the configuration parameters? See, simple thing is you won't be changing the configuration parameters daily or weekly or yearly also basically, but it's always good to know these things basically. It's always for performance tuning point of view basically. Okay, so I'll tell you a few examples so that you can, or let's say, can I update the configuration parameters? Yes, you can update the configuration parameters. Can I update the configuration parameters at database level also? Yeah. Commands to for that basically. Okay, let me give you the syntaxes. I'll give you the syntax, make a note of it. For updating the values dbm cfg using the parameter name which you want to update, the value which you want to update. So this is a command through which you can update the configuration parameter at instance level. So make a quick note of it. Say in my case, if I want to update DB2 update DBM CFG using, I told you about one parameter which is instance underscore memory. You should give a value something called, let's say I'm giving a value of 20,000 or some value basically. Okay, for example. Okay. So if you want to change it, the parameter name is instance memory and you should give the equivalent value for this basically. Okay. Any parameter which you want to change, this is a command to change it basically. Okay. Make a note of it. I'll give you 1 minute. Clear? Okay. So I'm just trying to, we are just trying to see like how to update the parameters. See, I'll be running these commands very frequently during the next course, I mean, next days basically. So try to understand this basically. So the performance changes to the performance improvements of the instance and database can be done by tuning the parameters only basically. Okay. As I told you, if you give more memory, you have more amount of space, which means that your performance can increase basically. Okay. So how to update the parameters? This is the command to update the parameters at instance level basically. Okay. On the same ways, can I change the parameter at database level also? Yes, commands are same. They are always sync. Okay. The command is update db cfg for your db name using the parameter name, and you can give the value. So make a quick note of it basically. Okay. So if you want to see an example, I can give an example. Okay, very good. So if you know same example what we have seen, db cfg for sample is using my database name using database memory is my parameter, and you can give equivalent values, say something like cost or something. Just as an example I'm giving here how to update these parameters. Okay. So just make a quick note of it. Clear? Okay. So there is a one catch here. So try to understand this. The question is, let's say my instance is already running with the 4 GB of memory, and I want to make it as 10 GB. Okay. So my instance is running with 4 GB. So my process and everything got started with 4 GB only. And I want to change it as 10 GB. So I just ran this command update dbm cfg using instance memory. I'm giving an equivalent value of 10 GB. Okay. But the question is, my instance is already running with 4. So will it immediately change to 10 GB, or do I need to do something for it basically? Okay. So remember, you have seen a lot of parameters. If you want to see the instance level parameters, there are a lot of parameters with instance. So if you want to see it again, I can run the command get dbm cfg. You can see there are a lot of parameters here. Okay. So if I change the parameters using these commands, the question is, will the parameters be changing immediately, or will they change after some time basically? Okay. Or in another example, so you have experience like you're working in Windows, you might be installing a lot of softwares in nowadays basically, right? But the question is, if you install any software, can you work with the software immediately, or do you need to do the reboot of the server basically? Okay. For some softwares, basically, if you install it, you can directly use them without any reboot. But for some softwares like the non-antivirus or the critical ones, you need to just restart your system before using the softwares basically. Okay. So there is a difference between things basically. Okay. So simple small applications or lightweight applications like gtalk, or you can say it as any Yahoo chat or Yahoo Messenger kind of thing. You can simply download it, install it, and you can directly use it. You need not do the restart for using them basically. But if you download a bit complex softwares like Norton antivirus or any DB2 kind of thing, basically it will, or in case even the VMware workstation, if you install it, it will prompt you for a restart basically. And after the restart, only the software will start working basically. The reason being, when you do the restart at the boot time, there are some registry variables which needs to be set, and they can be done only when your system is booting up or when your system is starting up basically. Okay. So that's why you can experience it like when you install VMware workstation, it will, once you do the installation, it will ask you to restart the system. And after restarting, when you do the restart or when you try to boot it up, it will set some of the variables of VMware basically. Okay. So in simple, some softwares won't work until you restart. Some softwares will work without restart basically. Okay. On the same lines, here I'm updating the parameters. So if I update the parameters, will the parameter new value, will it be effective immediately, or do I need to do the restart? Okay. So according to that classification, basically, okay. So mainly the instance parameters are classified into two types of parameters. One static parameters, another is dynamic parameters. So there are few parameters which are static, and there are few parameters which are dynamic. Okay. So when you say dynamic, if you change the parameters, the new value will be immediately effective. You need not do any restart kind of thing basically. Okay. Simple thing. I want to change a value. So if you change it, it will take the new value immediately basically. Okay. But there are some parameters which are called static, which means that if you change the parameter, it won't take the new value immediately, and you need to do the restart basically. Okay. What you need to do restart here, as we are dealing with instance here, you need to restart the instance. So how to stop the instance? You need to do db2 start, and you need to do db2 start for the new value to be effective basically. Okay. It's simple. I'm giving another same example, DB, and I want to make it as 10 GB. Okay. And you run this command which is trying to make it as 10 GB, but remember this parameter is static parameter. So what is static parameter? Static parameter means the new values won't be effective until you restart it. So the instance memory which was allocated with 4 GB will still be running with 4 GB only, and if you want the new value to be effective, which is 10 GB in my example, you need to restart the install and do DB2 started with the new configuration which you have made, which is 10 GB in my case basically. Okay. So try to understand this. This is very important. Any questions? How we know which is static and which is dynamic? I'll tell you, there is a way in which you can see which one are static and which one is dynamic. Okay. Mostly you have to learn it from experience only, or you can go to information center where it clearly writes which one is static and which one is dynamic. I'll show you. Okay. So clear to this point, like what are static and what are dynamic basically. Okay, so if you want to check what parameters are static and what parameters are dynamic, let me open the information center link. Mostly you have to learn from experience only. You will get it from experience only. But if you want to quickly check it, information center 9.7 is the one. I'll give you an example of few parameters which I know you might be knowing. You might not be aware of these parameters, but I just want to how memory is defined. Just a second. How memory is defined in MBS. I'll tell you how the memory is defined also. Just give me one more minute. Okay. It will be normally defined in 4 KB, which is the page size. I'll show you how it changes. Okay. I'll show you a few parameters: DF, DB, DFT, DB path. This is one parameter which we can see in future. Okay. Just click it here. You can see if you don't know any parameter, just type it here. It will give you the complete description of the parameter. And you can see there is something called parameter type here. You can see it says configurable online, which means that configurable online means it's a dynamic parameter. You can configure it online basically. Okay. So these kind of parameters are called dynamic parameters, which means you can configure online these parameters. Okay. Some other parameters, like let me show you some other parameters like log file size. We'll discuss these parameters. Where is log file size parameter? Or you can see something else. Log primary. It's not coming up. Configuration database logging parameters. See here you can see the it is said as configurable. Okay. So if you want to find whether it is a static parameter or dynamic parameter, just search in the information center basically. Look for the documentation side. Okay. For parameter, if it says configurable, which means that it's a static parameter. If it says configurable online, as the name says, it's a dynamic parameter. Okay. So it's if you go there, check here. I am checking for log primary. Here it says configurable, which means that this is static parameter. And for some other parameter which I have shown you before, DFT DB path, which will specify the location of the path. Just go to the link. Here you can see configuration online, which means that it's a dynamic parameter. Okay. So if you don't know whether it's a static or dynamic, go to the information center and search it there basically. Okay. Clear? For the next question, how memory is defined in MBs or KB? See, if you want to see how memory is defined, you can look here basically. I'll just show you here. If you do get dbm cfg and look at the parameter name, which is just a second, which may show me. Okay, you can see here the instance memory is defined having some value. Here you can see the value is specified in terms of 4 KB. Okay, so the memory, the value which is specified here will be explained in before that basically. So whatever be the value which is specified here is in terms of 4 KB. So if you're wondering what is 4 KB, 4 KB is nothing but the page size basically. I have told you, right? This page size is nothing but the smallest block which is used for copying the data from your memory, sorry, disk to memory. Okay, so this value is in terms of 4 KB. If you want to do a simple math, you can do it basically. I can tell how much my instance has occupied, how much memory my instance has occupied here. So it's this value into 4 KB into 4 KB. I'm not multiplying by KB, so this value is in terms of KB. I can convert into MB by dividing it by a factor of 1024. Sorry. So this is in terms of MB. So you can see that my instance has taken 758 MB of my server space basically. Okay. Can I make it as 2 GB? Yes. You should give the value which is equivalent in terms of 4 KB basically. Okay. On the same way, you can I see how much memory? See, these are small databases, that's why they are not occupying huge. Can I see how much memory my database has taken? Yes, it will be also very small. But let's do a simple math here also. You can see here this is my database memory and the value which is specified here is in terms of 4 KB, okay, which is nothing but page size. So if you want to simply convert it 29088 into 4 KB, so 29088 into 4 KB into 4, I'm dividing by 4, so the value is in terms of KB. If I want to convert to MB, I should divide by factor of 1024. So it has occupied, the sample database is taking something near to 113 MB, which is very small. Okay, so can I give 1 GB to sample? Yes, you need to update this parameter. Okay, so how to update the parameter? We are seeing the syntax. So this is the syntax through which you update the parameter. Okay, so if I change the value, will the new value be effective immediately? That depends upon the parameter. It's whether it's a static or dynamic. If it's a dynamic, the new value will be immediately effective. If it is a static, then the new value won't be effective until you restart it. Okay. So here, instance memory, if you think logically, an instance which is running with 4 GB, if you change it to 10 GB, cannot be changed dynamically. So you have to restart it. What I have to restart? You have to restart the instance. So how to restart it? The command is db to stop and db to start. Okay. So this is very important. So any questions till this point? Okay. So on the same ways, let's say I am trying to update a database parameters. So if I'm trying to update a database parameter, here also the parameters are classified into two types. Same thing as here. One is static parameter, another is dynamic parameter. So what are static parameters here? The parameters whose value won't change until you restart it. But here what I have to restart, in this case I have restarted the instance, but remember here in this case you have to restart the database. So if you change some parameter, you have to restart the database. So how to restart the database or how to stop the database? So this is very much important. So make a note of the command. How can I stop my database? There is a command for that. How can I start my database? There is a command for that. Okay, so make a note of it. The command to stop a database is deactivate DB, your DB name. And the command to start the database is DB2 activate DB. So it's simple. If you're updating a database configuration parameter and if the parameter is static, if you don't know whether it's a static or dynamic, go to the information center, search it there. If you're updating a static parameter, then you have to do deactivate. The command is deactivate DB name. And if you want to start it again, the command is activate DB name. Okay, just make a quick note of it. I'll run the commands and show you. And then you can stop the class for today. Okay, so let me run the commands practically and show you. Okay, so let me run it. So let's try to change the instance parameter get dbm cfg. So what is the current value of the instance memory? I'll just increase it to a random value just for example thing. Okay, so here you can see it's 194124. Let's make it as 2 lakhs just for your under. I want to increase to 2 lakhs. Okay, so how to do that? db2. Okay, let me update dbm cfg. Command is using instance underscore memory, which is equivalent to 200,000. Some value I'm giving it just for example. Okay. So if you run the command, you can see here the parameter has updated configurably. Okay. So you can stop the instance. How to stop the instance? The command is db2 stop. Okay, let it run. It will take some time to stop it, because it's a static parameter. So what you have to do for static parameter, you have to run db2 stop and db2 start. If you don't know whether it's static or dynamic, go to this and see it will be shown as static there basically. Okay. So I have stopped it and I have started it. The reason why I'm trying to do this is it will take this new value after restart only basically. Okay, it has started it. So if you want to cross check it again, let's see whether it's changed or not. Okay, you can see here. Now you can see your instance memory has been allocated with 2000 value. Okay, so this is a way if you want to change any parameter, this is a way in which you have to change it basically. Okay, on the same lines, if you want to change database level parameters, let's look at the value before the change. For DB name, my DB name is sample. So here you can see your database memory value is 2900. I want to make it as 50,000. So can I make it as 50,000? Yes. So how to do that? Same command. Just connect to the database. My database name is sample, and update the parameter. Okay, just hold on. It's taking some time to connect. Okay, connect is done. So you can change it. Update DB CFG for your database name, which is sample, using the parameter name is database underscore memory. The value will be 50,000. Okay, so I have modified it. So it's a static parameter. So what you need to do, you need to do the restart. So how to do the stop the database? As I told you, the command is deactivate DB, the database name. So you have stopped the database. Then you want to start the database, which is activate DB sample. So everything I wrote in here only. So I'm just stopping the database. I'm starting the database. Okay. So once you do both the things, your new value will be effective. So if you want to just cross check whether the new value is happening or not, just a second for sample. You can see the database parameter it is changed to the new value. Clear? So this is a way in which you can change the configuration parameters at instance level. You can change the configuration parameters at database level. It's very simple. You just need to understand the logic. So if you understand the logic and if you can run the commands at one time, you'll be running the same syntaxes throughout the things basically. Okay. So any questions before we stop it for today? Okay. Any questions before we stop it for today? Okay. So if you don't have anything, but by the today, try to do these things. Just try to download the softwares and try to do these steps. As I told you, if you're stuck somewhere, open the snipping tool and just copy paste and then send me the mail. I'll reply to your email. But keep it ready by the next class. So the next class will be on Monday, basically. Okay. So by the time, keep everything server ready. Okay. If you're stuck somewhere during the today, tomorrow till Monday, just drop me email. I'll help you definitely, basically. Okay. Keep the machines ready. Try to run the commands. Okay. And let me know if you're facing some issues, basically. Okay. Any questions, or if you can stop it for today? Any questions? Okay. So if you don't have any questions, we can stop it for today. Okay. Meet again on Monday then. Okay. Yeah. Have a nice weekend then. Bye.